we're going to show you a little bit about the radio that is being sold on Amazon under different brands. This is the Ohmotor version. They also make a Firehouse and a couple of other ones. This is the radio after it's been installed on the scooter. But what we're going to show is how we made the brackets. This is a piece of aluminum, about a 1/2 inch piece of stock that was bought at the Lowe's hardware section, where they have sticks of various pieces of metal. Decided to start out with this easy to bend piece of aluminum, but ultimately the idea would be to make it in steel. The problem with steel is that it's harder to bend, and you may, in order to do the 90 degree, you may have to use a torch and heat the metal up before you bend it. Aluminum is easy to work in, so we're going to prototype the mounting of this radio with these aluminum pieces. And what I'm doing here is drilling a pilot hole to just get a center spot for that bracket. Now, this particular end of the bracket takes a very large metric size screw, so I had to wallow it out a little bit. But this is a fairly large bit, and we're going to drill that out. Had to open it up just a little bit in order for the bolt to fit through. That bolt is the base bolt that holds the windshield on the scooter. What I'm doing here is applying some masking tape, and the purpose of the masking tape is to create a depth in which the 90 degrees needs to be accomplished, so that it's consistent on both brackets. And another side effect is that this masking tape will protect the aluminum from getting scratched when I use the wrench to bend it. So we're setting the depth of where the bend is going to occur, somewhere in that range, and that will be the same on both brackets. Aluminum is very easy to work with. That bend right there in steel might take a torch. I may have to heat that with a torch before I can bend it. But it makes a very nice 90 degree bend there. And so now we drill a pilot hole on the other end and set the opening to the size of the radio bracket, which is where we'll put a small nut and bolt to the radio side of the bracket. So just kind of get an idea where the center is, get it started. and then finish drilling it. No holes in the table. And now we're using a belt sander just to kind of round off the end on the radio side. Both brackets. Just kind of eyeballing the radius. Okay, and here we're tightening the bolt. The way the windshield works on this Honda Elite scooter is that it has a master bolt that goes down into the handlebar set that holds the platform for the mirrors and the windshield supports. And it uses actually the same brackets where the mirrors were originally sticking out. And so those bolts are pretty heavy duty, and we're just sandwiching the bracket between the bolt riser and the bottom of the platform, and that'll be shown here shortly. Tightening this one, getting it started, and tightening it down. And each of the two brackets are just straight right now. We're going to have to bend those up to meet the radio, but I'll do that. And then after that, the radio's put into place. I'm using a nut and a bolt, and the nuts are nylon lock washer type, nylon lock bolts, which are great because they just don't come loose. Whoever invented nylon lock bolts, it's just awesome. They're a little hard to get started, a little stiff, but once you get them wrenched down, they stay put. Then the wiring here is pushed down right now just to be out of the way. But that wiring was tied to the green wire, and the black wire were negative and the red wire positive. Maybe some people were saying those were inverted. I just ran them to a little connector that connects to my trickle charger. The battery on this scooter is under the cowling, and you have to remove the cowling to get to the battery. So I put a connection so the trickle charger could just be connected up without removing the cowling. So I just use that as a way to feed the radio. And here we're tightening these up and just really getting them snug so that we can position the radio once we get them snug. Those nylon lock nuts are kind of tough. You really have to use a socket or something to wrench them up. Torque wise, you would tighten them from the nut side because the Phillips head screwdriver will slip. So we're just getting them positioned and tightened up with the Phillips head screwdriver as the maximum level of torque. The Phillips head will slip if it gets too. So just a good snugging at this point. So it really, the aluminum brackets work pretty good. Now you can see how underneath the mounting frame, how they run up Now this is a little piece of wire. This wire goes down into the cowling and down, and it has an inline fuse in it. So what I did was add a string so that if you ever needed to change the fuse, you wouldn't have to remove the cowling. You could just pull that wire out from right there, and it stays out of the way. And then this is how the trickle charger end is protected, and you take the cover off of it and plug the radio directly into that, and that just connects it directly to the battery. And then once you get the battery powered up, the sequence is you have to set the clock. And the clock is on military time, so we'll just say that the clock is 1 o'clock. And then you hit the power button, and next you scan your channels. And at this point, the radio is finding all the channels, radio channels, FM channels. The antenna, which was the white wire, has been fed down into the cowling as well. And the Bluetooth antenna is actually just hanging there on the left, kind of up with the bracket. Don't really see it. If you do these brackets out of steel, of course I'd want to paint the brackets black. But right now the aluminum's not bad. It vibrates a little. So there's your presets. And you're ready to go. The display out in the sun is not that great. You can't see it that well. But you really don't need to be driving down the road making adjustments to this radio. You should really set it and forget it. And it works. And you can see the brackets are, no, there's a little bit of vibration to the brackets. But there's a little bit of vibration, I think, on the windshield as well. I mean, it's just a scooter. You don't go that fast. I'm doing, what, 15? I'm speeding up a little bit, maybe 20 miles an hour there. And it really is satisfying at 20 miles an hour, which is just riding around the block kind of stuff. Or a little scooter that's a lot of fun. So there you have it, a little weatherproof radio. And if it starts raining, I'm going to be headed for the garage. So I don't know if I'll ever test the weatherproof aspect. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I hope this video was helpful. And that is all.